Do you study hard? Because your marks are dependent on your effort. Here we have student A and student B. Student A is the one with the good habits and student B is the one with bad habits. Student A wakes up early, gets ready for school, has a healthy breakfast, does homework on time. Student B wakes up late, sleeps late, not really interested, eats junk food, doesn't do his homework, plays on the phone all the time. What do you think their grades would be at the end of the school year? Naturally, student A seems to be much happier at the end of the year with all A grades. And student B is sad at the end of the year because he has failed math and his other grades are not that great. In this example, effort is the independent variable, also known as the control variable. This means that effort is the one in your control. This is the one you can control. And the marks are the dependent variable. You can't control this directly. They're dependent on your independent variable. Just like in life, there are a lot of things which you can control and there are a lot of things you can't control. Your focus should always be on the things you can control, and that leads to a much better life. Let's see more examples from a mathematical perspective. In math, we always put the independent variables on the x-axis and the dependent variables on the y-axis. In our example, if we had to plot a graph for effort and marks, we would put the effort in the x-axis and marks on the y-axis. So let's see an example of data usage versus cost. If you use more data, it will cost you more money. That makes sense, right? Higher the data consumption, more money you have to pay. This is the independent variable and this is the dependent variable. Independent variable is the data usage, dependent is the cost. Let's see how a graph would look like. So here we have the graph. So data usage is in the x-axis, cost is in the y-axis. And we have plotted the points over here. So we have for 2 GB it costs about 100 bucks. We plotted that here. For 4 GB we have 200 rupees. For 6 GB we have 300 rupees and for 8 GB we have 400 rupees. Now what would happen if we joined all these points? We get a straight line. This is why this kind of relationship is known as a linear relationship. You can see line here, right? Line. The word linear comes from line. The relationship between the data usage and the cost is a linear relationship because you can draw a line between the points on the graph. Let's see another example. Fan speed versus cooling. If you increase the fan speed, the cooling increases, right? That is also a linear relationship where the independent variable is the fan speed, the dependent variable is the cooling effect. If you plot a graph, this is what it would look like. The fan speed is on the x-axis, which is the independent variable, and the cooling effect is on the y-axis, which is the dependent variable. When you have a fan speed of 1, we could say the cooling effect is about a 2. When the fan speed is at 4, the cooling effect would be about an 8. When the fan speed is at 5, the cooling effect is at the 10, which is the maximum. And if you draw a line between these points, this is what it would look like. As we saw before, this is also a linear relationship. The fan speed and the cooling effect have a linear relationship between them. And that's about independent and dependent variables. Here's a bonus question. Can you think of 3 other examples from your daily life where one quantity changes linearly with respect to another quantity? I'll see you next time.